Fala rapaziada, estamos de volta aqui como prometido. Continuei gravando da onde eu tinha parado. O outro vídeo ficou grande pra caramba, mas isso aqui eu vou tentar dar uma maneirada, certo? Mas vai ser um atrás do outro, como eu falei aqui no canal, é assim, é um vídeo atrás do outro. Pode demorar um tempinho pra colocar, eu não tenho tanto tempo assim como muitos canais, aí eu trabalho e tal. Então não dá pra colocar tipo desde as 10 horas da manhã ou das meio-dia, não sei, eu trabalho. Então eu coloco o máximo possível durante a tarde. Beleza? Mas vamos continuando aqui. Vou falar de novo com essa mina aqui pra ver. Ela não tem uma cara muito amigável, né? Mas aí é uma delícia, hein? Vou falar. Vamos ver se tem uma coisa nova pra conversar com ela.
Have you decided what you're going to do with me?
I'm working on it.
Acho que não.
Meanwhile, I remain a prisoner.
É lógico, você é prisioneiro.
You are free to do what you want as long as you stay in the village or with me. But if you cross the line, I'm the one who will straighten you out. So one false move and I blow you up. It's painful. Are we clear?
Yes, very clear. And perfect timing as well. It just so happens that I have absolutely no intention of disturbing this delicious village in any way. A place whose tragic end now seems ordained, and over whose corpse the red scribes and freeborn blades will scrabble in the bleeding mud. A spectacle which promises to be unique, and one I wouldn't dream of missing for the world.
Well, enjoy the show. But if I ever need your help, I want to be able to count on it.
Very well. You may consider that we have an arrangement.
Vamos ver se tem uma pergunta nova. Ele falou que ela é livre para fazer o que ela quiser, contanto que ela se limite aí, né? Ela não é livre. E se ela pisar na bola, ele arrebenta ela. Vamos ver aqui.
VLWz called you a sorceress. Well, are you one?
A sorceress? Only a rube or an imbecile would call someone a sorceress. If VLWz had even a minimum of intelligence and discernment, he would have chosen another term. I do a bit of magic, it's true, but that makes me a magician. Nonetheless, my abilities could never rival those of a lord of the frozen shadows, even if I am far more powerful than any red scribe will ever be.
Que exatamente é esse demônio?
What is it?
I can't say for sure. I've only rarely ever seen something so interesting, but all the same, I'm certain of one thing. Your host is directly linked to the World Heart.
To the World Heart?
It's a simple question of logic. The ritual performed by the scribes had to make contact with the World Heart somehow. Your affinity for flames is a crucial clue.
Okay, but what's my role in all this?
For now, you are the vehicle. You'll have to decide if you're going to use its power or just be a simple vessel.
O negócio tá feio.
Can we win this war?
Podemos vencer essa
You
guerra?
already know the answer. What was the last battle the Dead Walker army lost?
I never heard of them losing a battle.
In fact, the last time was 12 years ago. In those days, Vertiol didn't even know the Lords of the Frozen Shadows existed, or that they were at war. This all took place in a kingdom in the northeast. I don't recall the name, but their victory was destined to be short-lived. A few days after having stopped the Deadwalker army, the kingdom was razed to the ground by an even greater offensive.
But then it is possible to win a battle.
You haven't understood. Whatever the result of a battle, the Deadwalker army feeds. Whether they win or lose, they always prevail. All the bodies that fall are eventually integrated into their ranks.
It's a war of attrition.
If it were only military victory they sought, yes. But don't forget, they are crafty and intelligent. they can defeat you long before you are overwhelmed by a ruse or by magic.
Sounds promising.
Vamos lá.
Thanks.
Bom, vamos logo pra vila. Eu não tô botando muita confiança nessa mulher aí, mas ao mesmo tempo ela parece saber muito sobre o que tá acontecendo. Então pode ser algo bom, pode ser algo ruim. Caminho para Valvenor. Sei não, mas eu acho que a galera vai pedir minha cabeça aí no... Vou ver pra onde que eu tenho que ir. Tenho que ir pra Valvenor. Então eu vou pra cá. Pra cá? Não, não é pra cá. Olha, eu viajando. Tem que vir pra cá e pra esquerda. Não tem aranha não, né? Não olhei direito. Vamos pra lá, vamos pra cidade. Os caras acham que vai ficar bravo. Aquela mina lá já ficou doida comigo. Sei não, eu acho que vai dar merda. Eu acho que o personagem principal, né? Deixa eu passar de leve aqui enquanto eu acho que o cara principal aí, ele tá um pouco se achando, né? Porque ele matou aquele monstro. E eu acho que ele tá se achando um pouquinho, porque... Ah, não, esse aqui é pior. E eu acho que ele tá se achando um pouquinho, porque ele matou aquele monstro lá. Opa, esse aqui é melhorzinho, hein? É a mesma coisa, só que ele dá mais 2 de dano. É esse mesmo que eu vou usar. Então acho que ele tá se achando um pouco aí por ter matado a besta, né? E tá falando assim que ela é... que se ela se mexer, ele acaba com ela e tal. Eu acho que não é bem por aí não. Acho que ela é capaz muito bem de arrebentar com... não só com ele, mas com outros. Tenho mais tempo para o contra-ataque. Eu tenho resistência à interrupção. Vou aprender o que é isso aqui. Charging time for assault. Eu vou pegar isso aqui. Não tem nenhum ponto com ele. Vai que melhora alguma coisa, né? E eu acho que ele tá se achando demais aí. Eu vou pegar esse do baú. Aproveitar que já pego todos que custam 1 ponto. Eu acho que ele tá se achando demais aí. Eu acho que ela seria capaz de arrebentar com ele e mais 3 juntos ali. Não sei não, viu? Vamos ver o que nos reserva agora em Valvenor.
Well, first go see your steward before the villagers decide to burn me at the stake. I mean, if you want to, Vulcan.
É. Deixa eu ver. Recrutamento de handball. E os guardas desaparecidos. Não mostra...
Don't kill anyone for starters, especially if he's wearing red.
That seems reasonable to me, for the moment.
Ele não mostra onde que estão as outras missões. Deixa eu ver aqui se tá... Não quero. Eu quero as missões da 2. Edwin, VLWz FUIz. Não sei quem é VLWz, ou pelo menos eu não lembro quem é. Tinha que levar o handball pro capitão, apresentar ele pro capitão. Mas pelo jeito eu não tô entendendo muito bem os guardas desaparecidos. Eu não tô entendendo muito bem esse mapa que mostra... Uma hora mostra as missões secundárias, outra hora não mostra, cara. Vamos falar com esse cara. É, matei a besta.
Is it true you quit the booze?
What? Ah, that's a load of bollocks.
I thought so, but I did kill the beast.
Right. Okay then. You and me, we got off on the wrong foot. We owe you one. That's a man's job you done.
I found your soldiers' bodies.
They were my best. I mean, it's sad. So, did you bring back their weapons? I know it's not pretty, but we need them bad.
Yeah, I brought you back their stuff.
O cara tá mais preocupado com os equipamentos do que com os próprios guardas.
I know I said I wasn't gonna pay you, but those lads won't be collecting their pay, so here, you have it.
Nós precisamos, e além dos problemas, eu preciso saber mais sobre as pessoas. Vamos nesse primeiro.
Is there some
Ele
place
vai
in the
falar do
village
ferreiro, eu
where I can
acho.
get men's equipment repaired without it costing me an arm and a leg?
Only one I know of is that ass blacksmith's fault. And just talking to him usually costs me an arm, 2 legs, and both me bollocks.
Thanks for the tip. A
Saber mais sobre as
barfly like you
pessoas.
probably knows a lot about the people here, I'm guessing, huh?
Flattery will get you everywhere.
Nossa senhora.
You look like you can probably handle a sword. How come you didn't get recruited?
Oh, just unlucky, I suppose. Last time an Alliance recruiter come through, I was stuck in the crapper. Worst dose of the shits I ever had.
Forget I even asked.
So, I never got to the front. I can't tell you how much I regret that.
Você
What's
acha
your
do
opinion of the
Steward?
steward?
My opinion? Tell the truth, I never liked how he talks, like an elf reject. But he does what he can. And honestly, he manages better than I do. Him and me, we ain't always seen eye to eye. For example, if it had been up to me, I'd have driven them refugees back into the swamps. And fuck what that bleeding art apothecary says.
How is it going with the
Como
refugees?
está indo com os refugiados?
I'm not a monster. I got nothing against sheltering a few brave souls. Most of my lads are blokes who are here to protect their families. But enough is enough. I just can't protect everybody. You can't squeeze a whole city into a fucking life raft.
Você ficou sabendo do
How
handball?
well do you know Randall?
Wow, not enough to trust him. Him with his airs and all. The night with this and the night with that. Having said that, he has saved us from a few accidents in the village. He's a damn good fighter, and he don't ask questions. Balls of steel, that one. Sometimes I think he must have a death wish or something. If that's so, he ain't taking the easy way out. But then, who gives a toss? When he turned up a few weeks ago, it certainly took some of the pressure off. But he acts like his shit don't stink. Obviously, me and the lads aren't good enough for the likes of him.
Tá certo.
I'm going.
Mais uma missão cumprida aí. Eu preciso vender algumas coisas, senão eu vou ficar muito pesado. Eu já vou falar com o ferreiro. Eu vou vender as porcarias que eu não quero. Ah, agora começa a amanhecer, né? Agora que eu já saí do pântano. Vou vender várias coisas. E se eu compro mais... Se eu compro mais, como fala, munição pra minha besta de mão, né? Vender isso aqui. Vender isso aqui. Se eu der 2 cliques ele vende? Vende. É mais fácil. Vamos ver qual que é a melhor. A melhor é a beating. A melhor é a beating. Vou vender isso aqui também. Não tem nada pra vender. Isso aqui, se eu vender, eu tô lascado. Qual que é a melhor aqui? Esse é o problema. Uma tem resistência a magia, mas não tem de veneno. A outra tem de veneno, só que é... Eu vou usar essa do comando aqui. Ela dá mais proteção e tem mais resistência à magia. Então, vou vender essa daqui do mercenário. Bota. Qual que é a melhor bota? Essa aqui tem defesa 4 e não tem resistência à magia, nem a veneno, não tem porcaria nenhuma. Eu vou começar a apelar para defesa. Então eu vou vender as outras. E vou ficar com essa daqui. Capacete eu ainda não achei nenhum. Mana, poção. Tá, agora vamos ver se eu... Deixa eu ver um negócio. Ver se eu tenho uma... não tem munição para vender. Não, tem sim. Ele não tem nenhum... ele tem um capacete para vender aqui, ó. Eu vou comprar. Eu não tenho capacete nenhum. Essa aqui... Essa daqui é a que eu tenho. Essa que eu acabei de vender para ele. Ele não tem nenhum negócio de munição para me vender. Tá, beleza. Eu vou equipar as coisas novas que eu comprei. Ué, por que esse aqui não apareceu para me vender? Equipar isso aqui. Equipar as botas. E até que enfim um capacete, né? Vamos ver. Eu tenho uma adaga e a default sword. Será que dá pra vender? Vai.
Show me what you have.
Vender, não dá pra vender. Não dá. Fica assim mesmo. Vamos lá, vamos falar. Opa.
Why? You're not planning to give me the slip by any chance, are you?
I don't like the idea of getting locked up by the Red Scribes again. It might provoke me into a loss of my legendary restraint. And I'm sure that you don't want to have to scrape another one of your employers up off the ground.
Well, it's true that I prefer they remain in one piece. All right, fine, you can stay here. But if you do get it in your head to run away, I will find you. You won't like it when I do.
I'm trembling, but yes, I'll wait here.
Tira um barato. Eu não sei porquê, mas ele vai confiar nela de novo pra fazer alguma coisa. Ele vai deixar ela aqui fora, ela pediu pra ficar aqui fora. Ela não quer ficar num lugar fechado com os Red Scribes. Eu prevejo uma pequena cagada aí, mas beleza, vamos ver. Eu acho que ela vai fugir, não sei.
Did you find this famous beast?
Achei e
Found it
matei.
and killed it. But don't hold your breath waiting for its fur for next winter, because I didn't bring it back for you.
Excellent news. I knew the village could count on you.
Actually, not so excellent. Alis is dead.
Dead? But no, that's not possible. Are you sure?
When it doesn't move and it doesn't breathe and it looks at you with an even stupider gaze than one of your guards, that generally means it's dead, yeah.
I demand that you show some respect. The Red Scribes are a precious help to us here. Aeolus was a useful man, a good man, and he was under your care.
Ixi, agora se eu falar isso aqui, eu acho que eu vou insultar ele. Se eu bom homem tinha algumas respostas, né, para dar, assim. E o primeiro seria falar que os Red Scribes estão manipulando ele. Eu vou de segundo, vamos ver.
Please. Your good man had a few skeletons in his closet. He was controlling the swamp bees to keep people away. He had you all fooled. Aelus was even ready to kill his own daughter to cover up his secrets.
What nonsense is this? How can you make such ridiculous accusations? Am I to understand he died at your hands?
Eu vou falar
He
da
turned
mina,
up all
sim.
alone at the place where I fought the beast. No guide, no escort. He knew the way. And after coming after Sybil, he tried to kill his captive to shut her up. There was a fight, and he didn't survive.
What madness. What do you know of this prisoner? If Aeolus held her captive, she must have been dangerous.
Ela parece suspeita, ou eu não tenho ideia. Eu realmente acho que ela é meio
She
suspeita,
doesn't
mas...
talk much. Something tells me she knows more than she's letting on about the Ice Lords.
I don't like this. You realize you may have set a wolf among the sheep.
Or maybe someone who could be useful in our fight with the Deadwalkers.
Well then, you must find out immediately. As of now, she is your responsibility. I should deliver her to the Red Scribes without any further ado, yet, after what you have told me, I no longer know what to think. She will be given a fair hearing. Until that time, she never leaves your presence. If there is the least incident, I promise you, you shall answer for it. And there is no prison here, in case you had not noticed.
Okay, sounds fair to me.
However low your opinion was of Aeolus, his death is a great loss for Valbanar. He was meant to be looking into a most disturbing matter.
All right, I can see where this is headed. What do you want?
There is no guarantee that you have the necessary skills to handle this matter, Freeborn Blade. Even Mirana is flummoxed.
What is it? An epidemic?
That's exactly what I'd like to know. Several of the villagers have been behaving curiously of late. They have become distant, taciturn, and barely react to the world around them.
You're just hungover. You'd know if you got drunk more often. And you look like you need to.
I believe there are a few here who know the difference. It's something else. They seem very concentrated, as though they are observing us. I fear it's some kind of sickness and that it will spread throughout the village.
Got it. I'll slap him around a little. That should wake him up.
My goodness. That's not exactly what I had in mind, but I must confess the results interest me more than the methods.
Well, that's gonna be my method. So let's leave it at that if you don't mind. I'm not helping you because you made puppy eyes at the captain.
Eu tenho umas missões a mais agora. Pra quem não lembra, esse Steward, a moça lá olha, dá pra abrir essa porta aqui, olha, tem mais coisa ali, agora que eu reparei. Vixe, agora ferrou, hein. Os caras tão de luto aqui. Então, aquela mulher lá, ela da casa de cura, ela acusa o Steward de... Como fala? De ter envenenado o marido dela, né? Pra quem não lembra disso aí, tá no vídeo anterior aí, dá uma olhada lá pra relembrar. Então ele pode não ser tão bom quanto aparenta. Quem que é esse? É o Aeolus? Não. Quem que é esse cara? Parece que é o capitão. Vamos ver com a mulher aqui.
Leave me, Vulcan. I don't want to talk right now.
Eu vou pedir desculpas pelo pai primeiro,
I'm
né?
sorry about your dad. She took me by surprise. I didn't have time to protect him.
Even though I wish you could have saved him, it's not your fault. It's that witch.
Yeah, but it's understandable that she'd be mad at your father.
Whatever he did to her, he didn't deserve to die like that. She's a murderer, a monster.
A monster that maybe just saved your life.
Perhaps. But why did my father have her imprisoned? Did he know she would try to kill him?
He had us to protect him, and if he hadn't shown up in the middle of the swamp, he'd still be alive. It just doesn't make sense. We have to find out what he was doing. He must have been up to something, because he didn't talk to anyone about it. Not even the people who were supposed to take care of him.
What are you accusing him of?
Nothing really. I'm just asking questions. But I'm going to need your help to find the answers.
I will help you. I need to know what happened as much as you.
Você tem uma pergunta para ela?
What do you want to know?
Uma pergunta que você observou das criaturas do
So
pântano?
then, any result from the study of all these creatures of the swamps?
The sickles have a power that depends on their growth. The biggest ones are the most dangerous. Up close, their attacks can be frenetic and extremely dangerous. They can also leap onto their prey.
Falou que eu já sabia já. As criaturas são perigosas e aquelas maiores lá podem pular sobre o inimigo, né? Silvan. Quem é esse Silvan?
Greetings, mercenary. What can I do for you?
Fazer algumas
I have some
perguntas.
questions I'd like to ask you.
Eu gostaria de ter alguma ideia do que aconteceu
Do you have any
comigo.
idea about what's happening to me?
I'm afraid I may not be able to help you. Your condition is more due to magic than medicine. Your symptoms remind me of certain mental illnesses, where the subject has the impression he hears voices in his head.
And do these nutcases throw fire and have eyes that burn from within too?
You'd be surprised at what they can do. But obviously you're not like them. That being the case, if you study them, you might find some answers. In particular, I'm thinking of the fact that most of these poor madmen end up giving free rein to the darkest side of their personalities. Make sure that doesn't happen to you.
O cara falou que eu tenho um problema mental, que é mais tipo psicológico do que tipo, como fala, uma coisa que não possa ser curado com poção, né? Quem que é o narigudo elfo aí?
Who's the big snoring elf?
Show some respect, please. That's Prince Arundel.
O cara insultando um príncipe, velho.
He's the son of the Elven King, leader of the last army standing against the Deadwalkers.
Yeah, okay. But he doesn't exactly look like he's ready to stand against anything just now. What's wrong with him?
From what I've been told, Relmar brought him here before we arrived. The prince and his men fell in an ambush. Without your friend, he wouldn't have made it out. Unfortunately, he was severely wounded and has probably been the victim of powerful magic. I'm trying to find a cure, but without much success for the moment.
Você sabia sobre Edwin?
Did you know about Edwin?
Are you asking if I helped Aeolas? No, not voluntarily at any rate. Our late Grand Master asked me to carry out a medical examination of the woman while she was still our guest. Of course, he wanted me to be discreet, so I couldn't really examine her.
What did you learn?
Apart from the fact that your friend looks like a woman, human and in perfect health, nothing.
So everything's normal.
Apparently, but as I said, I wasn't allowed to examine her. Everything looks normal, which isn't exactly the same thing. To get back to your initial question, the only part I played in the story was to give our Grand Master a powerful soporific. He must have used it to capture her, but believe me, I had absolutely no idea who the victim was going to be.
Esse aí já não sabe quem é a vítima, se é o velho careca lá, o VLWz, ou se é a bruxa. Ele falou que não tem nada de estranho com a bruxa, né? Vamos ver o que ele tem pra vender aqui. Vamos ver se tem alguma coisa boa. É, ele deve ter só poção. Vamos ver se tem componente não. É, como eu pensei. Fala com
Vulcan,
o
you
elfo.
must help me. The prince is dying.
Well, I'm happy to see that my talents as a doctor are finally being recognized.
There's no doubt an explosion would cure him of all his ills forever. But I was actually thinking about your connections with the Red Scribes. If you could speak to them, it would save me having the prince's death on my conscience.
I wouldn't exactly call myself a friend of theirs. But yeah, I could always give it a try.
Putz. Como está
So is
indo
the
o
prince
príncipe?
doing any
Vamos ver.
better?
He is still in a coma. He doesn't seem much better, no.
I'm going to talk with the Red Scribes, Doctor. He might know of a cure.
Thank you.
Let's change the subject.
Uma pergunta. Deixa eu ver se tem alguma pergunta decente aqui. Você pode me falar mais sobre os
Elves are
elfos?
pretty rare. I haven't had the chance to talk to many. Can you tell me more about your people?
Ixi, eu tô vendo que esse diálogo vai ser longo, hein?
Eat only seeds, and we spend all the livelong days singing.
I get the feeling you're fucking with me.
Perish the thought. Well, it's just that we aren't that different from you humans, despite what one hears. Our civilization is obviously a bit older, so we have had the time to learn from our mistakes. We don't really live in the same rhythm as you do. We move a little slower, and most of us are prone to having at least some respect for the past. This is the reason why we never destroy anything, that we prefer to build on top of things.
Não foi tão... Perguntou que ele queria saber um pouco mais, né, sobre os elfos, aí o cara deu uma tirada, falou que eles nascem em árvores, comem sementes e cantam o dia todo. Aí o personagem que o cara falou, pô, você só deve estar brincando comigo, né, tá me tirando, cara. Mas ele falou que não, que era... Mas era brincadeira, ele falou que os elfos são mais do que o pessoal costuma a falar por aí, né? Eu ouvi dizer que vocês são imortais.
I've heard that you are immortal.
That joke has lived for 15 generations. I will never get tired of it. No, we're not immortal. We live long lives, though. Much longer than you. We are resistant to poisons, rotten food, and toxic body odor, apparently. Unfortunately, these things do not make us immortal.
Perguntou se eles são imortais, ele falou que não, isso é uma piada que alguém fez aí e tipo, foi passando de gerações por gerações, né? Eles são resistentes a toxinas, né? A venenos, comida podre, essas coisas, né?
Don't elves ever make war?
Nunca fizeram
That's
guerra?
the impression we like to give other people. The fact is, we do go to war, just never against each other. You must understand that, given our long lifetimes, battles are fairly futile. This may well be what has motivated the choices of our king concerning the Ice Lords. But we certainly know how to fight, and you'll see proof of that soon enough.
Então é o príncipe que dá
So
as
it's the
ordens.
prince who gives the orders.
The word orders may not be the best one. We do not submit nor obey easily. Our kings are a reference, wise men who can point out the way. They tend to guide us rather than give us orders. But to answer your question, it is his father, the king, who is the leader of our people.
Quem é o
Who's
príncipe?
the elf in the healing house? Is he really your prince?
He is Prince Arundel, the son of our king and heir to the elven crown. Therefore, yes, he is our king.
How the hell did he end up here?
Prince Arundel led a detachment of the elven army sent to harass the Deadwalkers. And when he reached Bastion, he fell into an ambush. I got wind of this trap, but by the time I arrived, it was too late. When I caught up to the prince, he was already wounded, and most of his soldiers were dead. Those who survived covered our retreat.
To here?
Yes. The route to Carolthas was too dangerous. I knew about this village and felt that it would be secure for at least a little while. As soon as he gets better, we shall leave for Carolthas. The remainder of the human and elven armies are gathering there. That is where the final stage of the war will be played out.
De onde
You
você
seem
é?
different from the other elves I've met. Where are you from?
Really? I seem different. And yet I have such pointy ears. And if you really want to know, I actually come from one of the most ancient and noble houses that exists. I'm even linked to the royal family. But I can assure you that I am sufficiently far down the line of succession to be in no danger of being crowned. And my reputation is no help either.
As far as bad reputations go, every mercenary has got one, so we're used to it.
Let's just say that I got into enough trouble to eventually be considered a traitor to my people. When I got involved in the war, I disagreed with decisions made by the king. He thought that this war, like so many others, would not last. That the conquests won by the Ice Lords would melt away like all the human victories before them had. But I thought differently. Right from the start of hostilities, I began to requisition certain resources I felt necessary for those doing the fighting. More food, more weapons, better armor. When my people discovered what I'd done, I was declared an outlaw, and many saw me as a thief, which, in a manner of speaking, I guess I was.
Então você é traidor e ladrão.
You refused to obey the orders of your king, and you stole resources. No wonder they outlawed your ass.
Nonetheless, I was right. The Deadwalker army is a threat to us all, and not only the humans. If we had entered the war at the start, joining with the humans, we would have had a chance of defeating them. Today we might already be too late. The human armies were decimated and Virtual is in ruins. So perhaps they consider me a traitor, but my conscience is clear. It is my people who should be ashamed.
Você conhece esses pântanos?
Do you know these swamps?
I've been in this area long enough to have explored a fair amount of it, actually. The region is rather inhospitable, which I suppose is a good thing under the present circumstances.
A good thing? You're out of your mind.
These swamps are a labyrinth. The Deadwalker scouts will never be autonomous enough to find their way to the village by themselves.
That means we should be fairly safe for the moment. At least until a general or an Ice Lord comes to town.
Except that recently, there has been a change in these swamplands. And I must admit that I no longer feel safe at all.
What do you mean?
Something is affecting the swamplands, corrupting the vegetation and the animals. And I have no idea what it is. But anything that grows or lives here could become a threat. So I strongly recommend that you watch where you put your feet.
Let's change the subject.
Eu não quero ir com ele agora. Eu acho que eu tenho alguma outra coisa para fazer. Acho que eu tenho outras missões. Bom, mas esse vídeo vai ficando por aqui. Já deu um bom tempo aí também de vídeo. E eu espero que vocês tenham gostado, assim como eu estou gostando do game. E a gente se vê na próxima aí. Eu acho que o negócio tá ficando cada vez mais intrigante. Beleza? Então, é isso aí, rapaz. Quem gostou aí, por favor, dá um like. Compartilha aí. Se não é inscrito no canal, por favor, se inscreve. Estamos sempre colocando vídeos novos aí. Recentemente coloquei o Chivalry, um game muito legal, eu gostei pra caramba. Acho que eu vou trazer aí com mais frequência pro canal. E é isso aí. Eu vou ficando por aqui. Obrigado a vocês aí, pra quem dá like, pra quem comenta, pra quem se inscreve. Tá sendo muito legal ficar nesse canal, fazer esse canal aqui. Tô gostando pra caramba. Beleza? Então, é isso aí. Até a próxima. VLWz FUIz.